Ray.
EGON.
What up, Gotham Guardians and Arkham Adversaries? It's your boy Trey of the Bat Channel, and we are live once again from the Bat Cave. It's been a while. Lots been going on lately. Been kind of inactive, but when you do a live show, we all know there's one person you gotta call. It's not the Ghostbusters just yet, but it is a super bro, Corey. He has returned. What's
up, everybody? How we doing tonight? How are we doing tonight? Man, I'm glad to be back. I'm glad to be back, bud. I've been missing these live shows. I'm super glad we're back and excited for this. This is a great show to come back to. Let me tell you that.
Oh, absolutely. Like Ghostbusters Afterlife. First off, before we begin our whole spoiler review, let us know in the comment section if you have seen Ghostbusters and tell us, how did you like it? Did you like it? Good? Enjoyed it? If you haven't seen it, you're in the wrong area. Things are going to be spoiled. We are going to talk about this movie. We are going to review it, give us some Easter eggs that we caught. I've seen it twice now. Saturday, twice. You know, Corey, you already know, my man. I had to, because Saturday I took Corey, mom, and dad, who are also huge Ghostbusters fans. We all went to go see it in Dolby at the AMC Theater. And my wife couldn't go because she had some prior engagements. So I was like, well, it's really awesome. So I'm taking you. We're going on another day. So both times were just as good too. And I was able to catch a little bit more seeing it a second time. So I'm excited. So Ryan says, I've seen it and I loved it. Awesome. Fantastic. Haven't seen it, but I don't care about spoilers. Fair enough, Lucas. That's okay. We'll take that. By the way, I dig the bat flag with the Christmas hat. He's gonna be coming down the old chimney and serving you up some justice. Kupi Malik, my man. What's up, brother? It's always good to see you, Kupi Malik. And so yeah, just a quick update, because I know some of you have been reaching out and asking, why have I been so inactive lately? You know, it's been a lot of trailer reactions and things like that. Just to kind of keep it short, just some family medical emergencies going on with our dog, Bat Dog. Have you seen Gandalf, who's been in a few of our episodes when he can't be quiet and barks throughout the show? He hasn't been doing so hot lately. He's kind of getting up to that age, so I've been doing extra time trying to take care of him. So that's really what's been taking up a lot of my time lately, and work. But I'm happy to be back. We have a lot to talk about with Ghostbusters Afterlife. But before we begin, it always helps us out so much, guys, when you smash that like, when you share this video, get more of your friends in the live chat. It makes it all the more fun and active. We're approaching 1,300 subs, I think. But let's go ahead and get to 2K, man. Let's just get to 2K. Because
2K, baby.
It's going to be good. We're going to be able to, the more you guys help us out, the more better the shows get, right? The more better. So definitely, if you guys want to, you can do, I believe, super chat. Well, you know what? I think I have to apply for monetization again. I got like a notification that said you have to reapply. And I'm like, why? It hasn't even been a year since I've been monetized yet. I don't know. Weird. So maybe no super chat today, but that's fine. We're still going to have fun. We're going to enjoy the show about some Ghostbusters Afterlife. Man, Corey, I think the first thing we have to say about Ghostbusters Afterlife is bravo to Jason Reitman, the director, son of Ivan, right?
Good job.
Nailed it. And it's one of those things like Zack Snyder, like Steven Spielberg, when they work on certain projects, you can tell when something they really love, right? Like this is a topic that really means something to them, so they throw a little extra flair on it, and that's exactly what Ghostbusters Afterlife was. It was just a nostalgic gasm of a film. Wouldn't you agree, Corey?
Oh, absolutely. It was. I was really impressed, actually, because obviously when you're going into a movie like this, you're like, is it really going to pay, tribute to the previous cast? We know the 2016 one did not really.
We don't talk about that one, Corey.
But, are they just going to show just enough to, kind of make the fans happy, but, completely change it up and not really include those guys or what? But they storyline the entire way was exciting and worth the ride for sure.
Yeah, well, worth the ride is definitely a way to put it, with the return of Ecto-1.
Yeah,
man. I don't know what it is about that car. You know what's kind of funny just about Ghostbusters in general is I love how rustic it is. Even the first movie, right? Like you can tell, like, when they're trying to start up the business of busting ghost, that they're on a budget and they can't really afford the greatest scene. So it's a lot of
slow down.
right. Yeah. It's a lot of things like that they're just putting together and duct taping almost. But they're so smart that they're able to come up with some of that great stuff. And like Ecto-1, when you think about it, it's not all that crazy of a high tech, it's not a fast car, but it's iconic. And when you hear that, siren go off, it gives you chills. It just chills, right, Corey? Like you hear that, like goosebumps just thinking about it.
It's a Cadillac, bro. Like
it's a Cadillac.
You got to give it some props, man. It's absolutely. Yeah, I absolutely love that Ecto-1 car. Curious, we went Saturday night, and one of the things that AMC Theaters was doing was the Ecto-1 popcorn bucket. What were they saying? Like a 1/8 replica or something like that, or like
something like that.
1/16. I don't even remember what they actually said it was, but and obviously, people are just so excited, and you can tell like this is, almost a generational thing now with the new 2021 movie, because in our movie theater that night, there was tons of people our age. There was a guy probably in his 30s, and he brought his older dad, and then there was the kids as well. So yes, Ecto-1 popcorn trays, and we were looking forward to buying one of the theaters on Saturday. So basically it was Ecto-1. It has lights and everything like that, and you can open it up and put your popcorn in there, and it was an AMC special. I guess with like supply chain and everything like that, some AMCs didn't get it delivered, other AMCs got a limited supply and sold out like immediately. Curious, Trey, did you find any on Monday?
No, it was still sold out even, and we went to a different theater that barely. It's not as busy at this theater, and it wasn't as busy on Monday, but there was still a good number of people there. And they had said that AMC hadn't even delivered those Ecto-1 popcorn collector things. But the good news is, Corey, I was able to, after jumped on the website to order one off of the AMC merchandise site, and there was a long wait line going on. But somehow I had like 5 different things. Like I had my laptop, my work laptop, and I was able to like cut through on my personal laptop and order 2. But as soon as I hit the button to order the 2 Ecto-1 popcorn tins, I get an error message that said, "Oh, the server crashed." It's like Zack Snyder's Justice League all over again.
Wah, wah, wah.
But I was able to get through again. I was able to get one, which was awesome. Nice. Get 2, one for you, one for me. Possibly there's a chance that it could be signed by Dan Aykroyd himself.
Yeah, the Twitter said like the first 80 were going to be signed by Dan Aykroyd. So, of course, that made the system crash even more,
Yeah, absolutely. Red Hooded Outlaw says I couldn't get one of those popcorn. It was tough, man. It was just.
Well, I remember like thinking I was going to sneak on real quick and snag it, and then immediately like the website crashed. So that's when I texted you. I was like, I can't, wait and deal with this. So
yeah, I think it goes to show. Hopefully, Sony is taking some notes on this. That the merchandise, something as simple as a popcorn, holder bucket that's in the shape of Ecto-1, sold out like crazy. So when you look at that, that's merchandise that goes straight to them. It's no breaking up between the theaters and stuff like that. People are buying it. The fans are excited for hopefully the continuation of Ghostbusters, and with good reason, because this movie, Corey, as I put in our thumbnail earlier, it is truly a love letter to fans. I think that's the best. And honestly, it's a love letter for Harold Ramis. The beginning, when you have that great shots of cinema, and you also see that mining. That I'm spacing the name right now, Corey. The architect, Evo Shamron. No, is J.K. Simmons played him in this movie. Do you recall the name?
Oh no. What was that name?
Evo Shandor. There we go. See,
that's it.
Shamron. Shandor. Evo Shandor. As soon as you see the Shandor mining, all of a sudden you can already tell, like they are plicking stuff right from the first movie, and it's just giving you all those feelings again. And to kind of do, obviously, Harold Ramis, which, by the way, Corey, he had his birthday recently.
Yeah.
I think it was like it was actually the 21st. I think the day we went to go see Ghostbusters. Oh gosh, that's kind of crazy just thinking about it. But the way the movie starts off, and you can instantly tell it's Egon because of the glasses, the poofy hair at the top. I would love to know who ever played him, who was like his body double for that opening scene. But it was just totally, once again, creating that vibe of that rusticness, putting things together with Ghostbuster technology, right? It's not like fancy gear. It's a bunch of guys grabbing gears off of, cars and stuff they can find around and trying to make it into something crazy. So crazy. And especially the fact that Jason Reitman was already able to kind of recreate certain shots cinematically, like when Egon is in the chair and one of the kind of the terror dog ghost breaks through, to get him. But he's able to transfer his spirit into the PKE meter, which brilliant, all in that, the amount of stuff they brought back from this original Ghostbusters. There was like so many things that you could just nitpick. I'm not nitpick, but pick out and be like, oh, I know what that's from.
Did you know that was Egon right away?
As soon as I saw the glasses, I knew. The glasses and the hair.
I knew right away. Yeah, it was like, okay, so sweet. And it's funny because we had the trailer reaction, and we discussed a lot of this, where it ended up coming true throughout the movie. So we did a pretty good job predicting this one for sure.
Yeah, you did. You guys will have to go back. Corey and I recorded another trailer reaction, but because of the dog, I was just too busy to get it up in time. But yeah, if you guys check out our first trailer reaction with Wonder Wife Sarah, that was a funny video. But there was a lot of things that Corey caught, and I know it kind of became more known as there was more TV spots and trailers. But Corey, you were actually the first one of our group from that initial trailer reaction that you were like, "Oh my God, that's Gozer."
Yeah,
and you were sure spot on for that.
Knew right away. The second you saw, I don't know if it was just like the beams, seeing, what she, that purple tint, or when if it was like a brief second where we saw, you know, the hair type, or the arm come up or something like that. I could tell right away that was Gozer. So
absolutely. And I mean, even Jason Reitman was using some of the same animation, you know, like when the ghosts turn into, you know, the free, when they, from the first movie, you know, the stupid guy, you know, releases all the ghosts, and that's what causes the chaos event that allows Gozer to return from the first movie. But Andrew Caselli, it's good to see you, bud. Seeing Bill Murray, Dan Aykroyd, and Ernie Hudson back was awesome and a surprise. Yeah, it was awesome. It wasn't a surprise to Corey and I. We knew that was going to happen just because Dan Aykroyd, it was pretty for sure thing, especially with all the promotions they were doing with the actors. I was just glad to see them back in the suits again. Chills. And it was so great because, like Corey said, while we were in the theater, it was a pretty sold out show for the one that we saw, and kids of all ages, and you know, all the, you know, from ages 5 up to, I saw senior citizens, you know, watching movie, and they're all getting a kick out of it. You hear people laughing, you hear people crying, you hear people, you know, talking back to the film, just having a great time with it. And that was like wonderful to see. And you kept hearing Dan Aykroyd say that this is now become a franchise of generations, you know, young, old, teenagers, me, you know. I wasn't even live when the first, and I think even the second Ghostbusters came out, because the second Ghostbusters, Corey, was at 88, 89?
I'm not sure. 89, yeah.
89, okay.
Yeah.
So
I would have been 2.
Yeah, you would have been 2. So, but for you growing up, like, Ghostbusters was a hot thing, right? Like for me, it was like Jurassic Park growing up. You know, that was the big 90s thing, you know, when I was, you know, coming of age. But the fact that this movie, it nailed nostalgic, but it also, the cast, let's just get to the cast. Corey, man, first off, when you think Paul Rudd was going to be like the main star of the scene, he's in it. You know, he's in it for a good portion, but he's definitely not the main guy of it. The girl who plays Egon's granddaughter, Phoebe, she, in my opinion, was the star of the show.
You know, absolutely. I completely agree with that. You know, you know, they just did a great job. You did think that Paul Rudd was going to be a super influential character in this movie, and he was in some ways, but he wasn't too. You know, they did a great job. You know, balancing, you know, pretty much everybody, I felt like. And of course, Phoebe was going to be the star of the show, you know, when things really got rolling. And she did a really good job. I don't know what her name's, what, McKenna Grace or something like that.
Something like that.
She I don't know what else that she's been in, but she did a great job.
She truly was phenomenal. And then you had Finn Wolfhard, who was
Trevor.
Who played Trevor, and he's from Stranger Things, which, Corey, I still say, if you have not watched Stranger Things, you need to, because it is an 80s kid's wet dream, basically.
You know, I haven't watched it yet. Okay. I have not watched it yet, but yes, I will. And they like, you know, play. You said that they have a lot of 80s type themes to it, and I thought, didn't they have like something Back to the Future or
they did a Ghostbusters Halloween thing where the kids were all dressed up, which is funny because he ends up, you know, wearing one of the suits in this movie.
Okay, Ghostbusters, and everything like that. So, cool.
But even the kid that played Podcast was kind of, you know, fun. They did a great job, like you said, balancing what modern generations, you know, the newer generation, what's hip with them, you know, YouTube and podcasts and, you know, kind of their personalities and stuff like that. But Paul Rudd, I really felt like he was the fans, the lifelong fans of Ghostbusters in a movie, right? Like he portrayed how we would react in those situations, you know, just very like, oh my god, it's a proton pack, like, oh my god, it's one of the ghost traps, you know.
You know what I thought that they did a really good job of as far as casting goes? You could tell that they okay, obviously without getting too deep into it quite yet, they mimicked in some ways a lot of the stuff from Ghostbusters 1984, right? Same, you know, same things going on there. Obviously, Phoebe, you know, we knew right away that she was going to be Egon's granddaughter.
Yeah.
You know, she had that, you know, kind of geeky, kind of dry, you know, weird humor. She did. Now, podcasts, he seemed very Ray to me. So
kind of like Dan
Aykroyd's character. Finn, for Trevor, he seemed kind of like that goofy, you know, Bill Murray kind of character.
Peter Venkman going for the girl, you know.
Yeah, and then we obviously needed a Ernie, you know, Mr. Winston, in there as well. And it was cool to see them bring another girl with what was her name?
The one that it was like Lucky, the police chief's daughter.
Yes.
And she was an awesome character too. Kind of, I loved her sass towards, you know, Finn's character, you know,
which Winston, that's what he was, you know. So immediately it was like, oh, you saw connections from the old cast and with this new cast as well. Which that combination in the earlier movies, the 1984 and the Ghostbusters 2, those were interactions that we already loved and laughed at. So I thought they did a great job of playing to that still as well.
And they did a phenomenal job, what Jason was able to do. And he did it with his dad. His dad helped out with this film. Kupi Malik is saying, Trey, are you saying Ivo Shander is still alive? No, I don't. I think he's, based off this movie, I think he's dead. At the end of this movie, I think he's gone. But in terms of the parallels in shots to kind of give you some of those same feelings that you had from the first movie with Phoebe, when the first time you see her, she has the little light on her head and she's fixing on something and she turns that light just like Egon does to, you know, Bill Murray when Dana Barrett first meets the group. You know, he shines the light in Bill Murray's eyes. And the fact that they had just some of those similar parallels. The first time you see Ecto 1 and it's the, you know, the license plate. There were so many shots like that when you see the slime from Muncher rather than Slimer in this. So many things that as a Ghostbusters fan, it felt like a Ghostbusters movie. It felt like the continuation of the franchise. And that was part of what was so exciting about it. And especially one of the big things they really ran with this movie was the Revelation 6:12. That was a big portion of the first movie.
You know, I did want to say too, Trey, as well, kind of continuing on with, you know, the characters in this, Paul Rudd, Mr. Gooberson, and Phoebe's mom. Those two characters also had like a kind of a Rick Moranis and a Sigourney Weaver type feel to me as well. So
here's a question for you. The fact that you brought that up, how soon did you know Paul Rudd was going to be the Keymaster?
Oh, right away.
Right away. What was it that gave it away?
Oh man,
there was a certain thing that Jason Reitman did that I was like, I know what you're doing, bro.
Yes. What? I can't.
He had a keychain full of keys on his pants, 24/7.
Yes. Yes. There was that. And then obviously the second you saw that, dog creature too in
The
the
Cujo
Walmart.
with the
Yeah.
like, hey, here's
Yeah.
the nightmare dog, kind of once
Yeah.
again teasing what's about to happen to him.
Yes.
A little
Yes.
foreshadow.
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly.
Speaking of the terror dogs, here's another thing I just have to give props for. So obviously technology has really advanced. When we remember the first Ghostbusters, they used the old claymation trick with the terror dogs, so that's why it kind of looks funny, especially to our generation. Back then that was pretty cool. But to our generations, when you have movies like Zack Snyder's Justice League and all those other crazy stuff where things just look real, this movie, while they had the opportunity to do CGI, and they did do CGI, when they're in that Walmart scene and you see the terror dog again for the first time, animatronics, mad props, because it's not easy to do those animatronics. It costs a lot of money. It costs a lot of money with CGI too, but a lot of people get away from that. And the fact that they used an animatronic terror dog gave me chills. Just, I was so excited. Andrew Caselli says, I didn't expect the villain to be Gozer since they stopped her in the first movie. Yeah, but when you think about it, you never really see her die. In fact, she just disappears, right? She allows them to choose
your destructor.
Choose your destructor. It just popped.
Ray, what did he do?
We used to rush him by the fire. Oh man, which that was cool. The Stay Puft Marshmallow guys. That
yeah, we go for it, Trey.
I loved that scene personally. I thought that was brilliant to kind of do it in a different way that wasn't that, but to make them kind of like gremlin characters that were just destroying the store, and just how crazy they were, like cute and adorable and just phenomenal, right?
So I was actually really worried about the Stay Puft Marshmallow little guys
Really?
when I saw it in the commercial, mainly because again, I was worried that they're just going to do little things like that to try to get me, but really just more appeal to the younger crowd with that, So I was like, is that going to be a dangerous move? And it ended up being really funny and well done as well. And yeah,
agreed.
When they were just destroying each other too, that was pretty funny.
Yeah, so there was a few Easter eggs that I noticed. One of the first ones that I noticed, Corey, was the Crunch Bar in Spangler's suit. It's a very small Easter egg, but this is where I say this is how you can tell someone loved Ghostbusters and made this movie, because the smallest details is something they would be able to pick up on. And the scene from the first Ghostbusters movie, Corey, it's right after they meet the librarian ghost, and I believe Egon says, based off his readings, he thinks he can trap a ghost and they can start this business. And Bill Murray says, I think you've earned this, and he hands him a Crunch Bar.
He never ate it.
He never ate it, right? Well, hopefully that's a completely different bar, but
that's a great little thing that you picked up on, because I bet most people were originally expecting a Twinkie right away.
Well, but we did get the Twinkie eventually, right? As soon as they open up the glove box of the Ecto-1, there's the Twinkie. Well, that's a pretty big Twinkie. So pretty, just subtle things like that. But there was also another one, Corey, that I caught. That was there was another one where once Phoebe is down in the basement and she's working on the proton pack, there's a box of Cheez-Its.
Oh, yes.
That is also in the first Ghostbusters, where they are just meeting Dana Barrett, and they're trying to figure out what she saw in her refrigerator, and he starts eating a box of Cheez-Its with Ray as they're discussing it, and that's when Bill Murray's like, I'll go check her out.
Yeah.
So just simple things like that were just silly details, right? Just silly things that really don't help the plot, but as an extreme fan, you go, oh my god, like he's even just setting it up the way you would think Egon Spengler would be.
Question for you.
Yes, sir.
So since we talked about those little pieces from the first movie, Janine.
Yes.
Do you think that they used her enough in this movie? And two, I was almost kind of hoping that she was Egon's wife or something, along those lines, or like, because I was curious, who got with Egon, like who.
I've heard a few people try to talk about that, and there was some speculation that people think Egon was married before Janine in the first movie, and already had a child by that point. And yeah, Janine was a great cameo. The great part was, as soon as everyone saw her, literally heard everyone go, "Oh my god!"
I guess that could be right.
Yeah.
Because would you say that she was about 40 years old?
You're talking about the mom,
Egon's daughter. Yes. What was her name? Callie or whatever.
Probably in her 40s.
So then, just by math alone,
it's about right.
It would have been pre Janine.
Yeah, because I definitely think Janine is not the grandma, simply because it'd be weird if she just showed up and was like, "Hey, this is your house now, but we're not related."
Yeah.
And not only that, to have Janine go from Egon to Rick Moranis's character and then back to Egon, something like weird like that would kind of make not much sense.
Yeah, but there is that one part of the first one where Egon's under the table and she was like, "You're
very hands-on."
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's part of the, I think they're more interested in me, but that's just part of the great thing of like Egon's character. And I loved, at first you're kind of taken back a little bit by Egon's character, because you love Egon, right? From the original Ghostbusters film. Like, he's a phenomenal character. And to hear anyone talk bad about Egon, that he was a shitty dad, shitty this, shitty that, he can go to hell. You're kind of like, well, what the like, that's my boy. You don't talk about Egon that way. But it really comes full circle once you kind of see Egon. Clearly he must have had a vision about whatever was going to happen in Somerville, about Gozer trying to return from Evo. Corey, I keep doing it. Evo.
I'm gonna let you say it.
You're gonna let Shandor. I keep wanting to say.
Who do you want to say?
What's that?
Yeah, okay, that's what I was wondering. Who did you want to say?
So, well, there's a billion, Evo Shandor. Yes. The fact that they were able to bring him in, because they talked about this in the first movie, that he was a crazy architect that basically had a cult that was trying to bring it to the end of the world with Gozer, and the fact that he created this other place, this little town of Somerville. That he created these ruins to have like another opportunity for her to come back. And the fact that J.K. Simmons was playing him was kind of like, whoa, that was like quick little like, oh my God, like there's a big actor for such a small little role. But it was so cool that once again, Jason Reitman was really expanding the lore of the first Ghostbusters movie. Now, maybe someone in the comments can tell me. I was searching throughout the entire time when I was watching the movie the second time. I didn't see really any connection or at least Easter egg for Ghostbusters 2. Did you, Corey?
No.
Yeah. I was even looking for like maybe a Vigo picture that they had, but then again, that probably burnt down.
Or like at least how they did in Ghostbusters, the video game, where it was just the backdrop of the picture. So it was just the backdrop. Obviously Vigo was gone. It was just that metallic, brown gold patina, finish there.
Well, though, the one thing I realized is, and this would have been funny too if there was a little Easter egg that they had, but at the end of Ghostbusters 2, that painting with Vigo turns into that that romantic era, the whole Ghostbusters are with little baby Oscar, and like Bill Murray's like doing the pointing thing, and it's like that weird little Greek painting. That it would have been funny to have something simply like that in there. But overall, I loved the arc that we even saw with Harold Ramis's character of EGON. From everyone is kind of the ongoing running joke, right? Like the dirt farmer had a family. I loved that they kind of just continued things like that. I felt like the comedy was very strong, even though they didn't have. I mean, Paul Rudd is obviously a very strong comedic act, but in terms of these kids, it's very tough to recreate what Bill Murray, Dan Aykroyd, Ernie Hudson, I mean, really Rick Moranis, you name it. It's really tough to recreate the chemistry that they had in that first movie. But I felt like they did. I don't know if anyone will ever be able to hit that again, but it felt like they did a really damn good job.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I would agree. I thought they did do a great job, and like I said, right away, I could easily tell that they were trying to set up these kids similar to the characters that we all love. So, yeah. I thought they did a pretty good job for again, these are kids, not Bill Murray and Dan Aykroyd and Harold Ramis and Ernie Hudson. They were adults back then. So
yeah,
these kids are trying to carry a movie, and interjections with Paul Rudd. They did a great job. And even, I there was many times when Phoebe's character would make one of those, kind of stupid, dorky jokes, and our theater was laughing, so.
Yeah, Corey gave me shit a lot of the times because she would say one of those, obnoxious jokes, and I was dying. I thought it was pretty good. It was just a very good movie in terms, like you said, it's kids really taking the driver's seat of this franchise, and they were able to hold my attention throughout the entire film. And obviously you got Paul Rudd just nailing it. The mom, Kelly,
Callie,
Carrie, I think her
Carrie Kim.
Yep. Carrie Kim. Okay. And she's doing a phenomenal job. I love that, just that interaction that she has, simply like, can you please break into your granddad's house? She's kind of a spitfire herself. And just this entire movie with setting up this building of trying to really get to know these characters. And like I said, the person who really is the star of this movie is Phoebe, because her acting and her, I mean, God, I almost wonder how old she was when she filmed this, because this movie has been, I believe it was supposed to come out in 2020. So that means they must have been done filming in like 2019. So it's been 2 years since they've been filming, and the amount of just emotion she was able to put in that character and nail Harold Ramis's mannerisms was so exciting, just because you could just tell that this girl was his granddaughter, and the fact that she was smart, and to have the presence throughout this entire film of Harold Ramis trying to help them out, trying to lead them to accomplish what he wasn't able to achieve, was just really done very, very well. I mean, and it matches the title, right? Ghostbusters Afterlife, of Harold Ramis, in this case, Egon's character. Corey, what did you think, man? So when we first saw this movie, we saw it in Dolby the first time, and I would say you don't need to see it in Dolby because the first half of the film, you don't really get the effects of the sound quality, right? It's not until they finally turn on the proton pack and you and you felt the seats rumbling. You're like, oh man, this is exciting. What did you think, man? That chase scene, that car chase scene with Ecto-1 and Muncher.
That was pretty tight, man. That was pretty tight. They did some cool stuff there. It was cool to see the car have like an ejectocito, and you know,
so cool. And even the little remote trap car thing that they. First off, how the hell does a trap little remote thing drive as fast as a car? I'll never know.
Hey, EGON made it, man. Do I need a point as his degrees, for you? So that was a funny portion as well.
Oh, totally. Right. And that would be totally something EGON would do. He would be like, I'm a genius.
Yeah. No, and I thought Muncher was a cool portion there as well. It's you at first, you were wondering, is it going to be like Slimer or something along those lines? And I thought Muncher, again, taking kind of that Slimer role throughout the movie, did a cool job there. But yeah, just driving around the city, the town, in that car chase, man, that was a high speed, cool shit for sure.
It looked like such a fun, I would almost hope that Universal, and I know it's technically owned by Sony right now, but Universal used to have the Ghostbusters theme ride, or at least show that they did. It'd be cool if they brought that back in a way of that car chase, because that car chase, it was so fun. It was so different because usually, I won't lie, Ghostbusters I never felt was super fast-paced movie. I mean, it has moments when the action is good, but in terms of speed and adrenaline rush, I never felt like Ghostbusters was that type of film. So this added kind of a different element to it that was to me, it was a very exciting addition that Jason Reitman was able to do, and I loved it. It made me it made me feel like a little kid going oh my God, I want to be in an Ecto-1 chasing down a ghost.
I'm down if the Bat Channel wants to start a change.org petition that says get rid of the Jimmy Fallon experience at Universal Studios Orlando and bring back Ghostbusters.
You know what? I think Jimmy Fallon would get behind that too.
Yeah, absolutely he would, because...
Is this true?
Yes, it's true. This man has no dick.
Oh man, yeah, that car chase scene was so cool. One thing I did realize, and just part of the genius of Paul Rudd, I love that he's kind of trying to play this really cool guy that is trying to be he's trying to give her hints that hey, I would like to be a part of this family, I'm invested in you, with the mom. And I love how he's tried to give the kids advice or be oh, don't do that, but you used a proton pack, you trapped a ghost. That's why I say Paul Rudd was truly a fan. He was one of us in this movie, reacting the way we would have reacted in such a way. Yeah, the car chase was fantastic, restored to Sniper Sky, and that was what was so great about it. But one thing I did realize, I love, some of it's corny, right? But in this case, sometimes it's okay to be a little corny. But that whole scene where she's Phoebe says to the police chief, hey, I get a phone call, right? And he's yeah, who are you gonna call? And she literally calls the Ghostbusters Dan Aykroyd, who still has the red phone, and still in that bookstore, but he has that new tattoo of the Revelation 6:12. And it was crazy to me to think that this was one error I noticed in the film, and funny enough that it comes from Dan Aykroyd, because Corey, I don't know if you knew this. In the first Ghostbusters movie, when they talk about Revelation 6:12, Judgment Day, Dan Aykroyd actually messes up the sentence and he says 7:12. So he kind of got it wrong there, even though it was different. So maybe he got the tattoo to remind himself what it is. But he says that the original Ghostbusters firehouse turned into a Starbucks, and yet at the end of the movie, it's definitely not a Starbucks. It's like it's empty. It's kind of trash at this point. So I thought that was one thing I noticed the second time watching the movie. That I was like, hey, it's not a Starbucks. Damn it, Dan Aykroyd, you did it again. But that's like nitpicking, right?
It's probably surprised it's not Starbucks.
Right? Yeah, probably. One thing that I loved, the fact that Dan Aykroyd, he got a little more time in the movie was great. You knew Bill Murray was probably just going to have a little bit of a cameo. I did like how they did the whole Keymaster and Gatekeeper. Out of curiosity, Corey, you know what? You probably haven't seen really much of the Marvel films. Paul Rudd plays Ant-Man in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and in the first Ant-Man movie, he's a convict that gets out of jail. And he needs to support his family, his daughter, and he gets a job at Baskin Robbins. And I wondered if it was like an Easter egg joke that he sees
Baskin Robbins ice cream.
Yeah, he gets some Baskin Robbins ice cream, and that's when he sees the little Stay Puft Marshmallow guys.
That's interesting. Maybe.
Yeah, I was wondering if that was a little something. I would love to hear Paul Rudd maybe say that sometime or talk about it. But the fact that they did even like I keep forgetting her name. Kelly. Yeah. Kelly puts on the old dress when she gets taken by Zool. And they do the whole voice thing. There was a lot of things that clearly they were just trying to bank on the nostalgic thing. Now
there is no mom.
Yeah, there is no mom, only Zool. Now I think some people could say like, well, this movie didn't really take much chances. It was just kind of rehashing some of the things we already saw. Corey, what would you say to that? To you, did that matter in this case, or was it good for this first movie to revive the franchise?
I would say, first off, they're crazy if you say this movie didn't take chances. This movie was a gamble from the get-go. You have, a young girl, Phoebe, who's trying to lead a major franchise. You have, in reality, Harold Ramis's character himself, that's a gamble as well, trying to, deep fake, bring him back as well. So I would say this movie made a lot of, big themes. It was a little risky, in my opinion.
Okay, so you think it simply, in a way, I think you're kind of right. And I think it's kind of funny in a way because everyone tries to blame the failure of 2016 Ghostbusters film that it was like, oh, well, it was all a female lead movie, so that's why people hate it. It was a sexist thing. And to me, it was like, well, maybe I saw it, and I can honestly tell you, maybe it was just a shitty fucking movie. Because here you have this movie where it's a girl who's, let's be honest, this girl was badass, right? Like she was leading this movie through it, right? And to me, it was just great writing. She was a great character. I can't wait to see her character, hopefully in future installments. So yeah, I think they did take chances. Was it I think, yeah, they kind of went off of nostalgia to kind of revitalize some of that classic feelings that you had towards the movie. And I think it was okay because after 40 years, yeah, it's time to kind of get back to the way Ghostbusters was. And so that way they can take you onto this next journey that hopefully will go on. Now, Corey, when Gozer finally returns, and she kills Ivo Shandor. I think I got that right this time, right? Yeah, I did. Finally, I get it right, and I question myself.
Wow,
Ivo Shandor.
he did get it right. I'm
you.
really impressed.
Now, when Ivo Shandor comes back, sorry, Nat. Yeah, Ivo Shandor does come back. That was kind of interesting. I was kind of curious to see a little more of how he was coming back alive. He must have cursed himself or something to every time Gozer is about to return. I love the fact that after all the years he has spent worshipping her, she just tears him apart.
Right. And I think about that a little bit more too, like how awesome that Egon, got to that, pit, that area in time to set up, the automated proton packs, and be able to keep that shit down the gutter, it was cool watching, and then it totally makes sense. That's where the earthquakes are coming from,
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was pretty neat, pretty cool. And then yes, you're right, her just tearing that man to shreds. It was
just like, get the hell out of my way. You're not important.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, that poor guy. He really spent his entire life building up this entire thing for her so she could come back, and she was like, I don't care.
Yeah, like he thought he was going to rule it with her, and
right. Oh gosh, there was a thought that came to my head that the music. Now, Corey, I'm a big music guy.
Yes.
The music is a big thing because music can also tell when you are part of a franchise. I mean, imagine having a James Bond movie that didn't do the dun 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 dun, or a Jurassic Park that wasn't da 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 dun dun. If none of those big movies, those franchises, used that music, that style of music, to let you know what world, what universe, your cinematic universe you are in. With Ghostbusters, they absolutely nailed it here. And I'm trying to think who the composer was. It was like Somerson, I think was his name. Here, let me actually pull this up real quick.
I'm actually a little disappointed that you don't know
Simonson.
this Johnny on the spot.
Well, it's because I don't really. This is honestly one of the first times I've ever heard of this composer. He's not in my list of knowledge, but I do know him now. But Rob Simonson, so obviously the original score for Ghostbusters was Elmer Bernstein, right? Who did the original score of the first Ghostbusters movie. The reason why this movie sounded so much like the first Ghostbuster movie was because they had Elmer's son, Peter, consult on it. Once again, just another thing that Jason Reitman really took the time to make sure you're immersed back into the Ghostbuster universe that his dad Ivan created with Dan Aykroyd and Harold Ramis. So to me, that was the fact that they kind of rehashed and they kind of tweaked some of the Ghostbusters theme, the little piano theme that they did. That's kind of cheesy and corny, but it's Ghostbusters when you hear it. That all in itself was worth the amount of time and effort that the director put into this movie. Corey, now when you get to that crazy scene, we finally get back to the dirt farm, and they're getting ready for the trap, and the trap doesn't work, and it's all hope is lost. And then finally, the return of the original Ghostbusters. What was that like for you, my man?
It was awesome.
Yeah.
I can't think of Bill Murray's line. What did
you miss us?
Yes, you missed us, and I was like, yes, we did. Oh man, yeah, it almost brought a tear to my eye.
I was, that was like my first, I'm starting to get choked up, but the chills, goosebumps took my mind off it more. And the fact, God, man, I don't know what it is about Bill Murray, but every time he shows up, he has just like a charisma and like chemistry that he's just so damn funny.
Yeah, he just makes you want to smile, right?
Yeah, he just knows what to say.
Yeah.
You know?
Bill freaking Murray.
Freaking
baby.
Murray. I mean, when Bill Murray shows up in any movie, you just have to, it's you know, like he literally steals the show, right? But you have Ernie Hudson there, Dan Aykroyd, and they're in their suits again. And I love that they're like, let's do what we did the first time together. And you know, and they cross the streams. But it was also kind of a crazy scene. I mean, it kind of, I guess you could say, to see like Gozer kind of learns, and she's like, I'm gonna uncross myself and I'm gonna get out of this. But I loved that whole scene where Dan Aykroyd, Bill Murray is like, we could have been something, you know, like we could have been a power couple. Like, God damn it, Bill Murray.
That was a funny. I would probably say my favorite line out of it was when, once again, you knew we were waiting for it. Gozer asked, "Are you a god?" And Dan Aykroyd just like. And I just love how they looked at him. Like you've had since almost 20, almost 30, almost 40 years or so. Like, almost 40 years of time to remember, you know, what Winston once said, you know, Ray, next time somebody asks if you're God, you say yes. And just the fact that he still kind of, you know, messed it up,
kind of botched it.
Yeah, had me laughing.
It's kind of like
watch Bill Murray's face too when he looks at him, because you could just see the like utter disappointment in Bill Murray's face.
He's like, who was going to get a second chance at this, you know, specific type of situation, and only Dan Aykroyd, you know, Ray's character could screw it up, you know. But oh man, it's so great. But God, you know, when you see the Ghostbusters get hit and stuff like that, it's kind of funny because like so many emotions are going on at that time, because you're kind of thinking like, oh man, are they really gonna, are the original Ghostbusters gonna fail at this? Like, I kind of want the original Ghostbusters to get in and save the day. And then you see the little girl Phoebe, you know, take her shot. And the moment, this was something I was not really expecting, but the moment you saw Egon's ghost hands help her out, Corey, I'm not gonna lie, this was my reaction from that moment to the end of the movie. Here you go. I was tearing up. It was such a great, like, oh, so powerful, right? And I don't know. I mean, obviously the deep fake, once again, I would love to know whoever was the body double to stand in that place, because they kind of have to get someone who kind of looks the part, right? To the height, the hair, and can kind of do a little bit of the mannerisms. And he doesn't speak a word, but he doesn't even need to, right? In that scene. But it's like, you get choked up, man, because it's like, oh, they're all four of them. I mean, Harold Ramis has been gone since 2014. Yeah, I believe so. He always wanted to do a third Ghostbusters movie with Dan Aykroyd. They tried so hard, and finally it's here, but Harold Ramis isn't there. But the fact that they were able to make him a part of the story, and not only that, a huge motivation throughout the story, was like so powerful. and I just love that moment when he's finally next to all the Ghostbusters, you know, the original guys, and they're all kind of getting to say their final words to him. And freaking Bill Murray, once again, perfect. I was wondering when you're going to show
up. Oh man,
brilliant! Like that's Bill Murray. He's that crazy ass humor that somehow works, and Dan Aykroyd with a very emotional, theme with Egon, and then even Ernie Hudson's character Winston. But I love, after finally they save the day, Gozer is gone, and Bill Murray walks up and says, hey, we're gonna get some hot cocoa. I'm gonna have mine with rum. Each character is kind of like that's so them, right? Ernie Hudson being the cool smooth guy he is, worrying about the car that he drove around most of the time, saying he's gonna take care of it because he's become a successful businessman since Ghostbusters, which I loved personally. Corey, I always felt like Winston kind of always got the so where I'm looking for. I feel like Winston never got enough credit as a Ghostbusters because he was always the super three, right? The Trinity of Bill Murray. And I just always felt like even in Ghostbusters 2, like Ernie Hudson's character is not really in it as much as the other guys.
I would say I never felt that way. Like I loved Winston's character in the 1 and 2. So, but I guess I could see how you kind of say that. Yes, it was good to see that he wound up to be super successful.
Yeah, but even then with Dan Aykroyd's Ray goes up to the podcast kid who looks like him after that whole scene in the first Ghostbusters with all the marshmallows on him. Brilliant. But the fact that he's his one subscriber, really found its voice. Episode 46.
And to find out it's Ray, the one subscriber. That was great.
Fantastic. And it's simple things like that, but then you have that really touching moment between Kelly and her dad Egon, and as like just a brilliant job of him going up to the sky, and they say for Harold at the end of the film, and it's like that right there. When that happened, I looked over because I knew I was crying. I was doing the ugly crying. I looked over to see if Corey was crying, and this is what I get out of this, man.
It's enough to make a grown man cry, but not this man. Get back in there, tear.
I still think you had a tear, but he won't tell me.
No, I may have had a single tear when Harold Ramis, when he grabbed his proton pack, with Phoebe for sure. But I got freaking screwed. To be honest with you, I got screwed when they were all looking at Harold Ramis's character. I ended up I'm kind of tearing up now. It was insane. I ended up
Stop it. Get some help.
and then of course, you gotta hit the hat the right way because I knew Trey was sitting on my right side.
Okay, yeah, I knew it. As soon as he turned the hat to the side, I was like, I know what he's doing.
Oh man, they got me when they were all looking at him and talking to him. I was like, oh shit.
Yeah. It was such a beautiful moment. I cried hard. Yeah, Oracle. We all did. It's okay to cry. And the great part is once again, you could hear the entire audience doing this. and that's great because that means you're connecting with your audience, right? Like you're hitting in all the right feels. And I truly think when the movie ends finally and it kind of, it's just a great time. Like, you think the Ghostbusters are going to go on. You see the Ecto 1 in New York City once again with the sirens going on, and it just pumps you up. And the credits roll, and the first post credit, Corey, the first post credit, one of the greatest post credits. Marvel can't top a post credit like this.
No, that was so great.
Bill Murray. What's so funny, because when they were doing the credits, they're saying like, oh, who's in it? Dan Aykroyd, Bill Murray. But then at the end they said, and Sigourney Weaver, and you hear everyone in the audience go, what? How did I miss Sigourney Weaver?
Yeah.
Boom. It clips the post-credit scene with Sigourney Weaver sitting at the taser box from the first movie, and sitting across from her, hooked up to this taser machine, is none other than Bill Murray.
Yeah.
And of course she's doing the whole card trick with him, how many lines is it, the wavy lines and stuff like that.
Three wavy
lines. Brilliant. Like, Sigourney Weaver didn't even need to be in the entire film, but the fact that they had that freaking scene, that baked the cake. And not only that, it answered a question that Corey and I really wanted to know, and that is, they are together. She had the wedding ring on, and that makes me happy, because another franchise that you guys know that I'm really big and into, is Jurassic Park. And I think one of the biggest failures that franchise ever did was the relationship between Dr. Grant and Ellie Sattler. The end of the first Jurassic Park movie, they give you the feeling that Alan Grant is willing to have children with Ellie. He's kind of looking at the kids and thinking like, yeah, I can do this. I could be a good dad. And then to have him go from that to Jurassic Park 3 to they're not together anymore and he doesn't have children. To me, it's like, that's a weird thing. It's kind of what you got from Ghostbusters 1 to Ghostbusters 2, but they make that full arc of Bill Murray's character, Peter Venkman, going with, Dana Barrett. So it was great to see them together, the true power couple that Bill Murray was talking about. That was awesome. So that makes me want to hopefully see Oscar in the future. But the next post credit, this is the one we really got to talk about, Corey. The next post credit with Ernie Hudson's character Winston and Janine really sets up what possibly could be the sequel of Ghostbusters Afterlife, the continuation of this franchise. And it's kind of the idea, now that Dan Aykroyd is kind of a little more involved in it again, and Jason Reitman as well, of they wanted to do franchises, right? Ernie Hudson's character Winston becomes a very successful billionaire, I think. He's funding Dan Aykroyd's library that hasn't brought in any money. From what I hear, it's possible that Ernie Hudson was even Winston was also helping EGON with paying the bills at his place so that he wouldn't get foreclosed on. It makes me wonder, now that he's restarting up the old, firehouse in New York City, if the idea is going to return. I think the next movie, in my opinion, my theory for Ghostbusters Afterlife 2, or however they want to call it, I think the second one is going to be back in New York, but it's going to open the idea that Dan Aykroyd originally had, which is franchises outside of New York, Chicago, San Francisco, if they want to, California, LA. It's going to expand into a much larger corporation of Ghostbusters.
Absolutely. I think, especially after seeing this movie, and hopefully it has ends up being a successful movie in the eyes of the movie theater company. But I think that they could easily continue on the story, that they could continue on with different different franchises, like you said. I think you're absolutely right. I see Bill Murray running a Chicago one for sure, or Men in Black International type,
Interesting,
because one thing that we do know is there's a lot of ghosts outside of New York City. So, especially with what did Gozer come? Where was that canon again? What state did they say that was in? Nevada or something?
Oh, it was like Oklahoma, I think it was
something, crazy like that. So
yeah, so I mean, there could be many different cults of Gozer still around. I think they're going to get away from Gozer a little bit now that, I mean, we've already had her. I think they'll create a new villain
for sure.
Maybe
and
Easter egg of Vigo, but
but we also saw the main trap system, storage system shake a little bit. So
it was blinking, meaning there's another ghost already in that trap, the storage system that EGON designed.
Yep.
So they're definitely hinting that there could be a future installment, and I'm glad you brought it up, Corey, because this movie is actually doing pretty darn.
I was going to ask you what are we looking at for a weekend?
So Sony Studios, who made this film, they projected the opening weekend to be about $28 million. That's kind of low, but even when you think about it, I think that's even slightly better than what the Suicide Squad did. It did $44 million US.
Awesome.
So domestic. So it surpassed their expectations. It almost doubled.
Yeah. Wow.
Globally, it did 60 million. So another $20 million. But here's the thing. Now, a lot of people are thinking, well, that's not all that great because, Eternals did like $100 million something. And then, other like Shang-Chi did really, really well. But here's something to think about as well. Yes, you could say pandemic numbers. Okay, we'll take that. But more importantly, the Ghostbusters Afterlife hasn't released internationally in a lot of the major markets like France. I think it hasn't released in England. It hasn't been released in China, which China is the second biggest movie market. So in terms of that, it could make a lot more money, and especially a lot more money than what Sony was expecting. So in my opinion, I think it's going to be a for sure thing, especially how we kind of talked about earlier, Corey, that merchandise is selling out all around for Ghostbusters Afterlife with that Ecto-1 popcorn tray thing that they have. I think it's a pretty good shot that they'll get a green light for a sequel, especially even though like I don't like to listen to the Rotten Tomato scores, but sometimes I look at it just to see what people are saying. I don't really like the critic score because the critic score says that Ghostbusters Afterlife was a 60% movie. So they're saying it's barely a good movie.
See Zack Snyder Justice League.
Yeah, see Zack Snyder Justice League. The audience score is like right about 95-96%. So the audience is saying this was a kick-ass movie.
Yeah,
it was phenomenal, and I would have to agree. I think it was a very, very good movie. Definitely worthy of its being a true sequel. Zachary says, here's my questions for the new Ghostbusters. Was it more scary, less comedy, or more comedy and less scary? That's a great question, Zachary.
I think I would say that thinking about it more now.
It was less scary than the Ghostbuster 2.
But you got to remember,
as much comedy as the first movie.
You got to remember, we were kids back then, so there was definitely some scary things in this movie, especially at the very beginning. Like, I was like, "Holy cow, man!" That
I was a little worried in the first 10 minutes of the movie when I saw what they were doing, because I was getting like Conjuring vibes almost. Just for how dark they were making it and spooky with the ghosts, but it lightens up pretty fast. And they kind of go with, I hate to say it, a slightly of a Marvel approach where they don't let too long of a serious moment. They'll kind of break it with comedy to lighten the mood. But this is Ghostbusters. That's okay, because they often did that with Ghostbusters. I think it's a nice blend, Zach.
Yeah, I think what you said makes sense. Scarier than one, yes. Not as scary as 2, but Vigo scared the crap out of me when I was a
That
kid.
scene in the train station, in the subway, when the Wernstein still freaks the shit out of me. I watched it just the other day, and I was like, nope, I can't do it.
Yeah.
Still, and as a kid, that freaked me out.
And then I would also say that as far as comedy goes, I would say they did a great job with the comedy.
Agreed.
I would say it's hard to judge it with the previous 1 and 2 because obviously you have, Dan Aykroyd and Bill Murray there, so we're talking about, Saturday Night Live. We're talking about, hilarious guys, so I thought the younger kids did well. And I thought Paul Rudd's character did a good job of keeping it funny, but obviously I'm going to say a little less in that sense, just because, who's going to be funnier than Bill frickin' Murray?
Yeah. I mean, when you think about it, was there even an SNL actor in this one? I don't think there was. So that's a good, I mean, when you think about it, the first Ghostbusters movie, that Dan Aykroyd and Bill Murray, all from SNL. So,
and I guess you could technically say that, yes, there was.
Well, okay. Yeah. But throughout the majority of the movie, and of course, once that group shows up, it is freaking hilarious throughout. No, I think it was a very good movie. I may be a businessman, but I'll always be a Ghostbuster. I love that line too. To me, that made Winston's character all the more special to the Ghostbusters. And did the Titanic arrive again? No, it didn't. Not in this one. But I see where you're going there.
That freaked me out as well too. That was
the fur coat with all the animals trying to bite at the lady. That scared the crap out of me. Yeah, Vigo was a scary villain for sure. Yeah, Ghostbusters Afterlife was very well done. I highly recommend it to anyone to go see it in theaters, to get your tickets. Do it on the Tuesdays if you want to do the $5 ticket day. But other than that, I personally think this was definitely worth seeing it in theaters. I mean, just because, I like going to the movie theaters. I think it's a better experience than watching it at home. Sometimes it's nice to have an audience with you that's kind of projecting hopefully the same emotions that you are, and laughing at the same point, because it just makes the vibe, the positivity, right, from the positive slime, when the audience is jamming with the scenes too. But I liked it very much. As I've said before, I think it was a love letter to the fans for Harold Ramis all the way through. It was, to me, it felt like closure almost for Harold to have a film like this that really kind of tied his character up. It was a nice send off for him, even though he couldn't be a part of it. But it definitely, you could feel his presence throughout the entire movie, and his type of humor, his type of style and direction that him and Dan Aykroyd were able to achieve in the first 2 films. And this film nailed. It checked off all the boxes in terms of, if you're a Ghostbusters fan, and respecting the past, but creating the possibility of an incredible future. Corey, for the sequel, do you think the cast, the newer cast, returns for the sequel, or do you think because it's in New York, or possibly because that's where Winston is reopening the factory as it is, do you think this cast returns with Phoebe, or do you think it'll be a new cast?
I'll answer that question, but I'll kind of add on to what you just said real quick about Ghostbusters Afterlife. I completely agree with you. They did a fantastic job with this movie, respecting the past, and yet adding a new twist, a new just a new Ghostbusters in some ways. Like we said, we both agreed that we cried in this movie. Obviously the first Ghostbusters is always going to be the best Ghostbusters. I loved 2 personally. And then now with Ghostbusters Afterlife, the best way that I could explain this movie is it gave me a very Men in Black 3 vibe to it all, where I absolutely loved Men in Black 1. Men in Black 1 is the best. Men in Black 2 is a great movie as well. And then Men in Black 3, you're like, oh man, there's not too much of oh my gosh, I just of
Tommy
Agent
Lee.
K, Tommy Lee Jones, but yet they go back into the future or the past, and I can't remember the guy who plays the young Agent
Josh
K.
Brolin.
Oh yeah, Josh Brolin. Why? I love that actor too, and just the way it all circled around and came back together is the same vibes that I got with this movie as well. You know, I cried in Men in Black 3. I cried in this movie as well too. It definitely paid a great amount of respect to Ghostbusters, and even more so Egon. Like Egon's character was, you know, could you say that he was a supporting actor in some ways because of how influential Egon's character was the entire time?
Oh, totally. Yeah, he was. His character was definitely the supporting. He was the motives throughout this, you know, film. He was the ignition, you know, to propel everything through it. Phoebe was just along for the ride, you know.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So, great job. Go see Ghostbusters Afterlife. And I completely agree with what the fans are saying with it being in the top 95, 90 plus percent on Rotten Tomatoes or whatever it was. As far as do I think the cast will be in the second Ghostbusters, you know, 4 or whatever they want to call it.
Ghostbusters Afterlife, yeah. That's a great question.
I would say with how well Phoebe did that I kind of hope that she is. And what I would like to see personally in a Ghostbusters Afterlife 2 per se, the story that I would like to see would still include Dan Aykroyd heavily, Bill Murray heavily, and Ernie Hudson heavily. And you know, maybe help with McKenna Grace. She's going to be a little bit older, so some years have passed. But I would like to see them start, you know, I would like to see them realize, you know, okay, there's a need for a Ghostbuster franchise around the world, and almost, you know, have like, you know, help get that going, have, you know, train the new Ghostbusters, or, you know, explain the technology behind things, or, you know, and kind of push into the next round, because, you know, unfortunately these guys are getting older, and we already lost Harold Ramis, and I do think that you know, we need to get these things going. There will be a time where Ghostbusters, in my opinion, doesn't have the characters that, you know, we love with Bill Murray and Dan Aykroyd and Ernie Hudson. But I do hope that they include, you know, Phoebe and people who have been connected to them in some ways. Yes, I would. So yes, long answer short. Yes, I would like to see them in maybe two more movies outside of this.
Yeah, I think they could go either way about it. Like, I'd be okay if at this point I would just love to see this series continue, whether that is doing a TV show of Ghostbusters or something, or 2 more movies. And I think it will be a bit of a combination. I could see Phoebe returning because she was just such a solid character. I could see podcasts returning in some format, some light. I think some of the original cast would return. Bill Murray, if he did, probably would do a small cameo, because he just always has kind of seems like he doesn't want a full-on part in Ghostbusters sequels. But I could see him, because we learned in this movie he's a professor of advertisement and promotions. I could see him handling the advertising part for the new Ghostbusters franchises. Ernie Hudson, I think, will be huge character in sequels and future installments. I think Dan Aykroyd would be a very strong member of the new franchise, kind of just leading it through, maybe the teacher of the groups, while Winston is the businessman. I would love to see, I don't think Paul Rudd will have much reasons to be in it. But I would love to see, but it's possible.
Rick Moranis was in too, and you didn't really see a need for him in the second one.
True, very true. So maybe it's possible Paul Rudd could come back. I'd be okay if he wanted to come back, but I think people.
I think, with him being a scientist too, I think it would make sense for Mr. Gooberson to come back.
Yeah, I mean, they could go about it through that aspect, as he's a seismologist kind of thing, and he detects where there's anomalies, psychopathic, anomalies going on. I could dig that. I see it though that they'll probably bring in a newer cast that they can kind of branch out the franchises and maybe do spin-offs.
Yes.
Of this, Ghostbusters Chicago, Ghostbusters LA, Ghostbusters, I don't know, Australia, whatever they want to go about, and they handle different threats. So I would love to see them really expand on this franchise if they're willing to do it. And maybe with new cast. And I'm still holding on hope that maybe one day Oscar shows up in some capacity of being a Ghostbuster. I think that would be just a cool thing to see one day. But
maybe Rick Moranis will come back then.
I would love to see Rick Moranis back, but I'm just worried that he's just done with acting. But if he ever wants to come back, dude, we support you. We want you back. Zachary says, will we get the Ghostbusters and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle animated film? I have read a few of those comics. Oh, you're talking about like the crossover? I don't know. Teenage Mutant Turtles is owned by Paramount right now, so probably not, because it's two different IPs owned by two different companies. But it'd be dope. So Corey, what you and I have given a rating.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what the rating exactly is. So let's see. Corey and I have combined our ratings, and obviously we got the average out. So what is the rating that we give Ghostbusters Afterlife?
Drum roll, please.
8.8. Nice.
8.8.
That's out of 10, so that's a solid score. It's not out of 100. 8.8 out of 10. So that means it's a solid, damn good movie. The first Ghostbusters movie, to kind of give you some context, for me, I'd probably give the first Ghostbusters movie like a 9.5, 6, 7, somewhere mid to high 9s, just because to me it was such a weird movie that just worked so freaking well.
Mm-hmm. No, absolutely. I think and that's why I was kind of talking to you about this when we were discussing the show Bad Channel rating, because to me the movie, when you get into the 9s, you're a movie that you could be watching, once a week, or like how we were with Zack Snyder's Justice League,
masterpiece.
While this one was great, I think it was. I think an 8.8 is a fair score. It's a new cast that you're trying to get used to. It was a great movie, and to me, an 8.8 is creeping in on that 9 score, because again, it gave me that Men in Black 3 vibes. But the original movie is always going to be, to me, a higher rating, and then a 8.8 is a solid score, and okay, let's see here. Zachary gave it 5 stars.
Okay.
I agree with that.
I'm just kidding.
And it's funny that you say Trevor H says that's a solid score. Oracle Clock Tower, you give it a 9.1. And speaking of rookie scores, no rookie scores. One bite of that popcorn, everybody knows the rules.
Oh, nice.
Bat Fanatic gave it an 8.9. It seems like everybody liked it quite a bit. restore the Snyderverse, gave it an 8.6. Yeah, I think an 8 score is perfectly fair. I want to say when we were rating it, I think my score that I told you was an 8.4, and I said 8.4 because it gave it paid tribute to 1984.
Symbolism.
Yes, exactly. That's why I went with the 8.4 originally, and then obviously with your score combined, we got the 8.8.
Yeah. And you brought up some good points, because I was originally like, oh man, it's a 9.2. But then you were like, so you would rate it on the level of like The Dark Knight. And I was like, oh, good point, because I consider The Dark Knight like a masterpiece of a film. So
and that's why, and that's why I'm trying to be a little bit, a little bit, I don't want to say harder scorer, but, nines, nines are special. I think what I told you, let's see. Oh gosh, how did I put it? I said nines are a movie that you watch repeatedly, monthly, weekly, monthly.
Yeah.
That 7 and 8s, you're probably it's still a good movie, but you're probably watching it seasonally. I think anything above an 8, in my opinion, anything above an 8.5, you have to see it in the theaters. 7 and 8s, 7s can probably go either way, and 6s for sure either way. And then of course, 5. If you hit a 5, then we're talking, some trash. But I think you have to see this movie in theaters for sure.
I agree. I hope they continue the franchise, because it's been a long time coming for Ghostbuster fans. I mean, when you think about it, they've really waited since 1989 for a proper sequel, because no one talks about the 2016 film.
We waited since 84 for Ray to get it right.
Yeah. So as Juan says, my favorite part was when Gozer asked again if they are gods. I laughed so hard at the theater. Yeah, people were staring at you because you were the only one laughing. Man, everyone was cracking up in our theaters. It was like a freaking comedy house, These people were just dying, because especially the fact that Ray biffs it, he doesn't just full on go like, and it was a smart way to play it for him to be like, how do I answer this the way I was told, or is it blasphemy?
Yeah.
Zachary says, was there any Easter eggs in the new Ghostbusters movie from the cartoon show? I actually started watching the cartoon show again, because
it's been
a long time.
Wow.
Yeah, it's actually on YouTube. You can watch like the first 10 episodes.
We need to just find it on video and buy it.
Well, I don't know. In my opinion, the cartoon show wasn't that good, because they also they made Egon blonde, and
I enjoyed it as a kid.
Did you? Yeah, I mean, it wasn't bad. To me, it reminded me of the animated Men in Black show that they did.
That Inspector Gadget.
Yeah, Inspector Gadget, stuff like that.
Ninja Turtles.
But I didn't catch any cartoon stuff. There was one scene I wasn't able to pick it out, but Paul Rudd is reading a comic when he's at the school, and the kids are watching either Chucky or Cujo. I don't remember which one. And I have a feeling that comic is probably a Ghostbusters comic. But I didn't get a good enough look at it to tell. But Juan says, I live in a small town in Salvador. There were about 10 people top at the theater. Oh, okay.
Ecuador.
Yeah, Ecuador. Thank you. Yeah, Colorado, where I was, tends to not be a very big movie-going state. They're never really all that crazy. They'd rather be outside. But for Ghostbusters, it was packed.
Yeah,
way more packed than the Suicide Squad was. So, just going to say. But yeah, great movie, guys. If you haven't seen it, definitely go see it. If you're curious about it, it will be worth it. If you're not sure, it'll be worth it. If you absolutely don't give a damn about Ghostbusters movie, I think you'll enjoy it. I think it'll be a good movie. I won't lie to you when I say this movie was made for fans of Ghostbusters.
Absolutely.
But is there something you could take away from watching it? I'm sure they would. I'd be curious to see if there are any Ghostbusters fans, or sorry, non-Ghostbusters fans who haven't maybe even seen the first two movies. If you watch this video, write in the comments what you think of the new Ghostbusters movie. I'd be curious to hear what your guys' thoughts are, because this film was definitely nostalgic all the way through, and
it was for Harold.
It was for Harold. Yeah, it was for
It's
Harold.
the
It was
best
for
way
fans.
to say it.
It was amazing.
It's the Men in Black 3, is the best way I can explain it.
Yeah. So if you liked Men
Great
in Black
movie,
3, it's very similar.
Completed brought the trilogy all together.
I agree. But guys, I just want to say once again, thank you so much for hanging out with us. I know it's been a long time since we've done a live show. We're going to try to get back more into it again. But Juan says, one last thing. I don't want to sound the cuties type. I am not. But Phoebe completely stole my heart. Watching her connecting with Egon, it was beautifully done. She is strong with force. Hey, man, you don't have to worry about the cutie stuff with that. It was a very powerful scene right there. And like I said, for me, Phoebe was the absolute star of this movie, which was amazing, because the moment they kind of promoted Paul Rudd as if he was going to be the main character of this movie,
right?
And he really is the side character. I mean, he's great in it for the amount of time he is, but Phoebe steals the show all the way through. She nails. You look at her and her simple mannerisms and acting, and it's like, yep, she's Egon's granddaughter.
Yeah. McKenna Grace.
Yeah.
Wow.
McKenna Grace, I think she has a huge future for her. She's brilliant in this movie. Kudos to her.
I agree.
Let's hope the industry doesn't destroy her career. Oh yeah, that's always a big thing, But let's see. Could we ever see Jennifer Love Hewitt or Anna Klumsky in a Ghostbusters movie? I don't see why not, but I don't know. I've never heard them express any interest, so I don't know. See, but guys,
who would you want to see in a Ghostbusters Afterlife 2, on top of what I said, like who would be a Paul Rudd or a type character that you would want to see?
Well, like I said, I would like to see someone take up the role of Oscar, whoever that would be.
Okay, who would you want to play Oscar?
Who would I want to play Oscar? Oh God, well, it kind of looks like Oscar had blonde hair, didn't he?
Well, yeah,
but
that was as a
could change. God, great question, Corey. I'm trying to think who has the comedy chops because I would think if someone was hanging around Bill Murray, or Peter Venkman throughout their life, they would probably get some of his traits. So who would play a young Bill Murray? God, that's a great question. Does anyone in the comments have a who would be good? I don't know. God,
I know. I'm trying to think as well.
The problem is like when you try to think of someone who could pull off like a Bill Murray kind of like thing, no one can. Bill Murray is very much his own comedian. God,
Ben Affleck.
No, not Ben Affleck. Like, don't get me wrong, I love Ben Affleck, Batman and stuff, but I don't think so on that one.
Because he would also be in, I guess, that 40s age range as well.
Yeah, he would be in. So you would have to think of an actor that meant that. Wow. Owen Wilson? No, please God, no.
Wow.
Oh, you know what though? That would be actually not for Oscar, but an actor who I could see in it. Vince Vaughn.
Interesting.
I could see him in a Ghostbusters movie, or maybe even because they kind of did a similar Ghostbusters. It was kind of like a Ghostbusters feel in terms of that science fiction horror kind of thing going on with the movie The Watch. So I could see even like Ben Stiller. In fact, I think Ben Stiller was once they tried to get Ben Stiller to do a Ghostbusters sequel at one point. I'm not sure I would want Ben Stiller in it, but
Ryan Gosling.
Ryan Gosling as Oscar? You know what? He actually probably could pull that off. Mm-hmm. You know who could be a good one, Corey? Steve Carell. Oh, John Krasinski.
Oh,
John Krasinski as Oscar.
Yeah, I could see that. What is everybody saying here? Let's see here.
I'm trying to think who else is a big SNL actor. Yeah, maybe they could pull from the SNL group.
Christian Bale.
No, not Christian Bale. That would.
How about Channing Tatum?
No, don't say Channing Tatum. That would be interesting. Kind of go for like a 21 Jump Street kind of thing, like he did with Jonah Hill.
Jonah Hill too.
Jonah Hill could be kind of funny in that. Yeah, I could see that. Definitely not. I know probably some people would be like, well, why not Seth Rogen? But then I feel like once you do that, you're taking Ghostbusters down a direction that is awesome. Because you got, like I said, you got to find a nice balance between serious horror and comedy, right? You can't have someone that's so comedic that that's all they are.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to have someone that can,
like a Jack Black, that would be,
Jack Black would be too far. Like Seth Rogen, I don't know if he could do it.
How about Robert Pattinson?
Why you gotta do that to me, man? I'm already trying so hard with the Batman theme, and I think he'll be a good Batman. I don't know if he'll be my favorite.
And Andy Samberg's an interesting.
Andy Samberg, that could be good, but he might be too young for Oscar. But that's not a bad choice. But if they did, now that you bring up Andy Samberg, if they did that whole Brooklyn Nine-Nine, like what's the police officer, the chief's name, Captain.
Yeah.
He's actually plays a very dry humor so well that I think he would be phenomenal character in Ghostbusters. There's a lot of actors to probably choose from.
How about The Rock?
No, I think Dwayne Johnson, in all fairness, is being not overused, but
he wants to be 007.
That was a joke. There you go. Ryan Reynolds as Oscar. Once again, one of those moments they'd have to. Terry Crews would be pretty cool. I could dig that if he was someone in that. I don't know. There's many actors I think they could pull from. It to me, it just matters on. They have to recreate the chemistry, or at least find a group that has just as good chemistry.
How old is Mark Ruffalo?
Mark Ruffalo?
Yeah.
50s? I don't know. I don't know about Mark Ruffalo. No.
He just always has that character that's kind of a mess. And I feel like a young Oscar would be kind of a mess.
That's interesting. I don't know. Whatever they do, I think they should have Harrison Ford as the lawyer. I'm just kidding. The dick lawyer.
I was a little sad that guy didn't come back. But then again, they're going to be back in New York. Maybe he'll try to shut them down again
and be like, you can't open this facility.
Yeah.
Is this true?
Jason Momoa is going to be blonde, so why not Jason Momoa?
No.
Did we say Ryan Reynolds?
Yeah, we did say Ryan Reynolds. I think Ryan Reynolds could be a good choice. The only issue I have with Ryan Reynolds is that he's been playing the same dude over and over and over again, and I would want him to have like an element of seriousness to him, but he's just kind of been the same. He's been Deadpool in every freaking thing, or Ryan Reynolds is Ryan Reynolds in every film. I don't know. I would need to see another like dynamic, and he can do it. He's been in great movies. He was wonderful in Amityville Horror when they made the remake. But no, Chris Hemsworth lost his chance after that 2016 film.
But it got me thinking of somebody. Chris Pratt.
Chris Pratt. He could be a really good Oscar.
Right?
I could see that. That's not bad, Corey. That's not bad at all. I dig that. There's many actors they can pull from. I guess is what they're coming to. It all matters about chemistry, and if they. I think
Chris Pratt's my choice.
I like that. That is a very good choice. I'll give you that one.
He's going to need a new franchise here soon.
After the Jurassic World Dominion, which I gotta do a reaction with the Wonder Wife on that. One of the clips just came out today for Jurassic World, so I'm excited for that. But guys, seriously, thank you so much for sticking it with us, returning after all this time, mm-hmm. From our little medical emergency that we left to take care of the doggo. But I really appreciate it, guys. Thank you for making it such a good live stream as always. If you can, it always helps supporting us by hitting that like, that share, that subscribe, help get us to that 1,300 and maybe 2K by the end of the year would be a little bit of a stretch, but hey, you never know. Maybe we have a weird skyrocket. I'll take it. But thank you guys so much. I always appreciate you guys, but don't forget to tune in weekly. Same
bat time.
Same. World of the Psychics.
Same ghost channel.
Weird.
I'm sorry, everybody. Guys. I'm sorry about
that. Is this true? Yes, it's true. This man has no dick.
Jesus!
See you later, guys. Have a good one. Right.
See you later, guys. Bye. Trey, what's that behind you?
Oh my God! Oh, we got a ghost in our house.
We're gonna have to leave the house.
We're not leaving. They are. You know
who are you gonna call?
The Ghostbusters.
Hello, Ghostbusters.
Hello?
Yes, of course they're serious.
We have a ghost in our house. Please help.
You do? You have? No kidding. Uh-huh. Well, just give me the address. Yes, of course. Oh, they'll be totally discreet. Thank you. We got one!